House to Home, presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome to House to Home. We continue to bring you interesting perspectives on real estate. And of course, with the election now upon us, Liz and Gina, who have been talking about various matters of public policy and how they affect the ability to buy and sell property. We're going to talk some more about this because Gina, you actually brought this up. Is there's a particular piece of legislation that you guys have touched on in the last couple of weeks that is starting to get some progress, but are you satisfied with what you're seeing so far?
So there was a public hearing last week. Apparently, Chris Murphy has been spearheading the seller disclosure law, getting that enacted. And I think Liz actually was on the committee and they reviewed it. So I'd like to let Liz take the lead on this.
Okay, fair enough.
Actually, no, I wasn't on the committee, but we've been working on seller's disclosure since the 90s. We've put together forms, and basically seller's disclosure is about protecting the consumer. So Chris is part of the Real Estate Commission Board, and they've been working on this law, and the law basically is to protect the consumer. So if you buy a home and let's say it is sold in as-is condition, as-is condition does not let the seller let the seller off the hook if there are issues with the property. The seller's disclosure form is part of the process where a seller has to disclose issues about the property that they're aware of. So for example, if there's a structural crack and they're selling the home, the seller has to disclose, you know, that there is a crack in the home, what repairs that they did, if there's any leaks. Sometimes they're not visible, but if the seller is aware of some issue with the home, then it's their obligation to report it. So part of the process, if you're selling a home, there's a form, which we're probably going to finalize. And in the form, you have to reflect the different conditions of the different rooms in the house, the structure, you know, what issues did the seller have while they own the property. So over the years, we sold property and sometimes buyers are unaware of existing conditions. Right, Gina? No,
I agree. We actually participated with a public hearing last week about it. Liz and I both were able to join in, and you know, and I see it. I see this law having a twofold effect. I think it really was designed not just to protect the consumer, the buyer, but I think the goal was to protect the seller as well. Because it does say in this bill that once a seller makes these disclosures, the buyer will have, right now, the way it's written, the buyer's going to have 10 days to go independently investigate any issues that were brought up or not brought up. I mean, the seller could very well say, I'm not aware of anything.
Mm-hmm.
And you have some instances where the sellers never occupied the home or use the property in any way, shape, or form. They inherited it or had bought it simply to fix it up and sell it. So
it's a pure investment, right?
Yeah, it was just strictly investment or inheritance, and they've never been on Guam, so they don't know much about it. So a seller could say, listen, I don't know. And then, so this bill, the way I read it, it's to protect both sides. It's to give, you know, I mean, it's assumed the seller's going to be honest and upfront, and the buyer will read through that and then go out and do their own investigation. That's kind of how the bill was written. Some of the things that I was concerned about, and I'm still concerned about it, were some items that I thought were subjective in nature. So, and some items that I don't know if I were the seller, if I could really be comfortable with these particular items. And one of them was the sex offender in the do I know if like it's my home, I'm selling it, or what, whatever the property, and I'm
If there
selling
was
it.
if there was a major capital crime committed on the property or within the structure, right?
Well, it doesn't say within the structure. It says like the sex
The neighborhood.
offender. Yeah, in the neighborhood. Drug activity in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
well,
that would seem kind of outside the scope. I mean, the seller can't be responsible for the entire block, right?
Well, I don't know when, so drug activity. So those things were vague to me, and those were the things I was concerned about. The sex offender register, I don't know how good Guam's sex offender register is. And as a seller, those things to me were a little broad and a little bit, I don't want to depend on someone else's database for my disclosures. I had a little bit of an issue with that as a seller. And the other item was paranormal activity.
It has been reported that the tenant of this property may have believed that they were visited by Tatamona in the past, right? Or
yeah, Liz and we always think we're being haunted by something. So,
but I completely understand what you say. That is a very subjective thing, and I mean, I would also think that from a seller's perspective, that would only cause to soil the deal. From a buyer's perspective, it's nice because they were like, wow, my realtor's actually disclosing a lot of information I didn't know about this place. But every single bit of information you pass along, because realtors will say, oh, this is a great place, it's quiet, it's nice families, there's retired people here that don't bother each other, it's nice local people that get along. But if you were to say a whole bunch of things, that ruins a deal for me.
Well, there's certain disclosures you have to, like if there was a death, yes, those disclosures would have to be made. And from what I gather, of course, the bill is not final. They're doing some tweaking, and the public's input, of course, is important. That's why they conducted the hearing. So in general, the bill does protect both buyer and seller, and they're tweaking it. So again, basically it's, I think with the Guam Association of Realtors as well, we've had the form over a while for a number of years, but we're going to be tweaking that form as well to be in compliance with the law. As Gina puts it, there is a broad spectrum of just, knowledge about the property that it's difficult for a seller to relay this information when we'd have to do some research as far as sex offenders, and if there's paranormal activity and other things there. Yeah, it's rather broad. You can't just pinpoint and provide certain information that would be construed as accurate. So,
if Liz and I were filling out one for our place, we'd have paranormal activity checked off in every single home we go into, because that's just us, right? So anyway, that's
I think you watched one too many movies, Gina.
Yeah, you got that right.
But
Jason.
you know what, you have to be a respectful Guamanian, and when you come upon a property that's kind of foreign to you, you still ask respect.
Yes, absolutely. And see, that's how we view it as well. And that's what I meant about that particular section. And can I just say, I know we're running out of time, but can I just say, for those of you out there, the only reason I found out about that particular public hearing was Senator San Agustin was on the air with us about another bill that we were discussing. I had joined a public hearing for something else, and he happened to mention, hey, this public hearing is coming up on this day. Are you guys joining us? That was the only reason I found out. And I'm glad I did, because I was able to read the bill and I was able to join, and I will stay on this particular bill until until it's voted on and adopted, because I do want to see it become law. I just think there's some things in there that I'm particularly concerned about. So I'm going to put in my 2 cents. But can I say, this week, the legislature has a lot of hearings coming up, and some of them are pertaining to public health and the recent governor orders that give them complete authority over everything. And I think it's for the public's interest. We as citizens have a responsibility to get in there, log on and put in our 2 cents, because after all, supposedly they're working for us, and without our input, I don't see how that's possible.
Absolutely. Well, that is that public health hearing that's going to be on Wednesday, everybody, if you would like to make your comments known. And I just wanted to comment and say what a delight it is to always hang out with the two of you on Tuesdays and find out more about the real estate business on Guam. So ladies, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. And we'll see you at the polls when you guys vote, but please make sure you're staying socially distant when you cast your vote.
Make your vote count.
There you go. All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.